The math question.
The general solution question. So there was a problem when it came to laws of exponents. If you couldn't do laws of exponents, you were supposed to go on and try to be able to do trinomials. I'm going to run you through that now. It was 3 what?
3 to the power of 2 tan x.
To the power of 2 tan x. Yes.
Minus 3 to the power of 10x plus 1 is equal to 54.
X plus 1 is equal to 54. So this primarily to me was supposed to be a very easy question. Let me explain why. This is how I was going to look at it. I would have went here and said that this was going to be 3 to the power of 2 tan x minus 3 to the power 3 times 3 to the power of 10x is equal to 54. Everybody follow so far?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So from here, let's go on to say that since I broke that down, it means that as far as laws of exponents go, I wanted you to also break down the 54, but it seemed like it was going to be a stretch. So this is what you could have expected. Oh, please give me a second. London is just joining. All right, so from there, we'll take it on to say this. I cannot do anything else. There are no laws of exponents that I can be able to apply. If you noticed, I told you guys that you can be able to break it down to say that break down the 54 as much as possible up until you get 2 to the power of 3 times 2, if I'm not mistaken, or 3 to the power of 3. So here's how it's going to look like. What I would have done, the easiest method to be able to do this is to be able to use a trinomial. How would I use a trinomial? This is the application. I would all go on to say, I have this, which I can therefore break down into 2 parts. Or rather, let me start this way. 3 to the power of 2, 10x minus 3 times 3 to the power of 10x minus 54 is equal to 0. Creating a trinomial, opening up that trinomial to say that it is going to be 2 brackets, which is equal to 0. In the first bracket, I would have 3 10x. In the second bracket, I would have 3 10x. So far, so good?
Yes.
Then break down the 54. The 54 is supposed to give me a difference of 3 when added or subtracted together, which means that I'm going to use 6 times 9, because 9 minus 6 would give me 3, and 6 minus 9 would give me -3. So in this case, I would go on here and say that that is going to be 9, that is going to be 6. Highest number takes the middle sign, that is negative, making the other one positive. Right? Then from there, your answers are going to be as follows. The reason why I did it this way, by the way, is simply because of this. Let me run you through something on the side as well. I'm just going to write it here. I'll erase this. Okay, I'm going to erase this. What I did was 3 to the power of 2, wherever there is 10x, I just put x. So it's 3 to the power of 2x minus 3 times 3 to the power of x minus 54. That's what I did. So when I apply the laws, I would go on to say that based off of this, I'll be able to break it down into 2 parts to say it's 3 to the power of x, 3 to the power of x, 9, 6, negative, positive. That's how I did it. Okay, I just took it as normal algebra. So far, so good?
Okay. Yes.
It wouldn't have worked if it did the quadratic formula.
Quadratic formula would have taken you 3 pages to solve.
Oh.
3 pages to solve. Laws of exponents would have taken you 1.5 pages. So this would be the easiest, shortest way to be able to do it. So let's proceed from there. This then means that you now have the following. To say that it is going to be, excuse me, 3 to the power of 3 to the 3 10x is equal to 9, or 3 10x is equal to -6. And once we get here, that means that 3 10x is equal to 3 to the power of 2, or no solution. Would you like me to explain why I'm saying there's no solution?
Yes, please.
All right. The reason why I'm saying there's no solution is because I need to be able to solve this particular side here, right? So I'm going to try to be able to do that. The best way for me to be able to do that is to try to change the 6. So if I change the 6, it means that it's 310. X is equal to -2 times 3. Now, the problem always arises to say that when you need to drop the bases should be the same. In this case, the bases will not be the same, and also the bases are going to be negative, okay? Which means if I needed to remove the 10x, I would have to square both sides by 10x. This is the easiest explanation, by 10x, right? But I cannot square or 10x in terms of the negative. Once you have a negative, it ruins everything. It's sort of like saying, when we say that 3 to the power of 4, or 3x rather, easiest way, 3x is equal to, let's do -3. So in this way, there's no way that you'll be able to solve it, because the bases that you're working with, although they may look the same, they're actually not the same. Does that help? All right. So there'll be no solution there. With no solution, it means that I'm only going to go on and solve one side. The one side that I'm going to solve is as follows. It is going to be 10x. Bases are the same, so I drop them. 10x is equal to 2. Therefore, x is going to be equal to, have a reference angle of, a reference. What is that reference going to be? 10 minus 1?
63.4.
63.43 degrees. So as you can tell in this case, you have that 10x is equal to 2, which then tells you that it is positive, and in which quadrant is 10 positive.
I don't know the numbers, but it's the A quadrant and the T quadrant.
So as you know, you're going to have only up until 180 degrees, which then tells you that it means you're only going to be working with quadrant 1. So in this case, it is just going to be quad 1. So this then means that x is going to be equal to 63.43 degrees plus k times 3 up 180 times 180 degrees, where k is an element of unknown integers. The reason why you only work with one quadrant is because k 10 does not go over 180, which then tells you that every other quadrant is null and void. So you can only work with quadrant 1 or quadrant 2 when it's positive and when it's negative. That's it.
Oh, okay. Oh, this is like logic and reasoning.
Pardon?
This has to do with like logic and.
Yes, it has to do with what do you call those, your graphs. Remember, the graph is always has a period of 180 degrees. So you can't make it go over 180.
If I did write the 180 plus.
If you wrote the 180 plus, yes, taking for example that this is actually 5 marks. So if you wrote the 180 minus, we would dock you out of 1 mark. We won't mark it, but we'll mark everything else and remove 1 mark.
Okay.
Questions?
No questions.
Okay. Let's see.